As expected from Sony, they have decided to drop a redesigned version of the PS5 that comes with the same technology as the 2020 version, but it's a more smaller and sleeker package. Honestly, when I had the box delivered, it felt very light. When unboxing everything, you get the power cable, HDMI cable, the Dualsense Gamepad, which is the same as the one included with the original PS5, so nothing new here. And finally, we have the console itself. I must say, you can truly notice the weight difference, and it just looks so much sleeker than the original one. When taking a first look, I really love the design of the console. I guess this is Sony's version of a more portable console. This slimmer version has been refined from the original. It's a slightly smaller console with more hard drive space, a new USB-C port, and an upgradable disk drive bay. So no drastic changes from Sony, which I honestly expected. Note that the 2023 PS5 is available in two versions, just like the 2020 models. One has a disk drive while the other does not. The disc-based model retains the original drive system's $499.99 price, but the all-digital system is $50 cheaper and it comes at $449.99. I ended up going for the digital version, so let's go ahead and power it up. Technically, the updated PS5 is fairly smaller than the original, but not enough to make it significantly easier to place anywhere. It measures 14.1 by 3.8 by 8.5 inches, and that's a bit thinner on all sides than the 15.4 by 4.1 by 10.2 inch original PS5. It's safe to say that this smaller one is a lot more portable, especially if you're into travel console gaming. This will definitely be a lot easier to carry around. The new PS5's overall design is similar to its predecessor, with gentle and distinct curved white panels around a black center. Even the panel's popped collar look remains. It's just a little less prominent, and I really like that from Sony. The light strips still run along the edges of the black center to make the white panels glow and serve the same purpose, lighting up in blue, white or amber, depending on the console status. At a glance, the new PS5's only real distinguishing features are the black stripes that horizontally run along the white panels to split them in two. A power button and two USB-C ports reside in the black band on the console's front, with a high-speed USB 2.0 port best suited for controllers and other peripherals. The black holds the same two USB-A ports, Ethernet port, HDMI port, and power cable connector. The only variation is that the two USB ports on the front are now both USB-C rather than one USB-A and one USB-C. The good news is that the smaller PS5 is much easier to set up horizontally. The first version's clunky and awkward two-way stand is replaced by two small plastic pegs that fit into the console's sides to keep it stable. For some reason I couldn't find my ones, but it's still stable enough without them. The slimmer PS5 doesn't come with a stand at all, which I think is quite tight from Sony, and since it is thinner than the previous model, it is less stable when set up vertically. I feel like Sony are just forcing consumers to buy a stand if you want to have it set up vertically. Instead of bundling a mediocre stand, Sony now wants us to buy an improved version for $30, and for some that may be out of their budget. Although the new stand looks much nicer than the original, with a metal base that keeps the console upright and makes it hard to topple, it also works with the first PS5 with an included plastic insert. In my case this won't be necessary as I'm going to have it sitting horizontally. Just make sure that you keep it in place where it can't be bumped and you will be just fine, but you're really going to need it if you're going to stand the console. Storage is the biggest improvement the new PS5 has over the original. It comes with a 1TB SSD that provides 848GB of usable storage, compared with the 667GB of space in the 825GB SSD equipped first model. Note that the system software components take up a little more than 150GB on both consoles. The panels of the PS5 Slim are split into two, unlike the other where it's just one. As you can see, the inside looks practically identical. Like the original PS5, the new one has an interior M2 SSD slot for installing another SSD, although buying an SSD can be fairly expensive if you're out there looking for one. The other major hardware change may not apply to everyone, but is less directly beneficial to most people. Like the first PS5, the new version is available with or without an Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive. However, now that drive is now sold separately, so you can now upgrade a digital only PS5 by separately buying the disc drive for $79.99. So getting the disc system is a better deal if you intend on adding the drive later on. With my first PS5, I ended up going for the disc version, but in all honesty I did not end up using it much at all, as I tend to download all my games. The only time I can remember using it was when I bought Watch Dogs, and that was pretty much it. And that explains my reasoning why I bought the digital version this time round. Apart from the upgrade in SSD, the same AMD Zen 2 CPU, RDNA 2 GPU, 16GB of GDDR6 RAM, Wi-Fi 6 and Gigabit Ethernet as the original model. Its graphical capabilities are identical too, with ray tracing and the ability to output at up to 8K. The included Dualsense Gamepad is the same as the one included with the original PS5, so nothing has changed much on that aspect. It remains one of the most advanced and comfortable console controllers, with adaptive triggers, motion control, and surprisingly precise and realistic vibrations. Performance wise, nothing has really changed. I played Fortnite on the new PS5 and it performed exactly as expected. The game was sharp and responsive, offering detailed graphics and with a frame rate that hovered around 60 FPS. My go-to game is FC24. The graphics and responsiveness were perfect, also there wasn't any form of lag either. In terms of performance, there is practically no difference between the 2020 PS5 and this PS5 Slim, so don't expect any crazy performance upgrades. Overall, the new slightly redesigned PlayStation 5 is slimmer in terms of physical size and a bit larger in terms of storage. Otherwise, it's the same system as the original model. It's a fantastic game console with plenty of power along with the highly immersive DualSense wireless controller, though I wish Sony included a vertical stand with the console like the one in the original PS5. Whether you choose the digital version or disc version, it truly comes down to preference. But honestly, there's no reason to rush out and replace your existing PS5 with this one, considering it's every bit as good as the original. I'm going to put the PS5 under my Ryko desk shelf, and I think it fits perfectly in my setup. I am fairly disappointed with the upgrades, as I feel like Sony really could have made more upgrades to its performance to make it worth upgrading to, but maybe Sony have left the more higher end upgrades for the PlayStation 5 Pro. But honestly, the PS5 Slim is only worth upgrading if you want that extra storage, or you may not be a big fan of the bulky design of the original PS5. Also, it's worth noting that the original PS5 will go down in value, so watch out for any price drops in any upcoming holiday sales. In regards to the stand, I'm not going to be buying it anytime soon, but who knows, maybe I'll change my mind later. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I'm currently going away on holiday just to reset a little, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to the new year. I would really appreciate it if you guys can support the channel by subscribing and hitting that bell icon. I've been Ryan, and I'll hopefully catch you guys on the next one. Take care.